What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Captain Marvel. Let's rock this. This latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and their first female-led standalone movie is a fun and enjoyable and exciting action adventure that is also nostalgic for those of us who grew up in the 90s and at the same time gives us a pretty fresh spin on a superhero origin story. Now, although I do think that Brie Larson is the right person for this role, that praise does not come without its criticism, which I will further elaborate in this review. So stick around. Right off the bat, at the beginning of this film, you see Captain Marvel already part of the Kree unit assigned to take down the Skrulls. And so in one of these missions, Captain Marvel gets captured by the Skrulls, who then open up images and sightings of what could be her past life. She then finds herself on Earth in the 1990s, where immediately she encounters Nick Fury and Agent Coulson looking much younger than what you'd recognize them today. And Captain Marvel is still determined to pursue those shape-shifting Skrulls, all the while more and more bits and pieces about her past gets revealed to the point where she can no longer suppress what really happened to her on that crash all those years ago. And this revelation also gives her clarity as to who the bad guys really actually are in this war. Let me just start by saying that I'm not familiar with the character Captain Marvel. I mean, I know of her, but I didn't grow up reading Captain Marvel comic books. So what I'm trying to say is that I came into this pretty fresh, without any level of expectations. Other than that, I was curious to see how Brie Larson would do in her first superhero run. You may wonder, and rightfully so, why it took this long for Marvel Studios to finally give one of their well-known female characters her own solo movie. But you can probably see it as, hey, Marvel has this big master plan for phase 1, 2, and 3. They had already envisioned this entire thing long ago, so the timing of Captain Marvel's arrival could not be more fitting to the bigger picture that they have at hand. Marvel Studios is no stranger to the fish out of water storytelling approach. Many of you would remember the first Thor movie, where the Nordic god of thunder slams the mug and demands another. But the fish out of water story in Captain Marvel gets teamed up with the 1990s setting. So not only does our hero have to figure out how things work on Earth, but she also has to figure out how things work on Earth in a much simpler era, when downloading a file could take minutes instead of seconds. For Marvel fans who did not grow up in the 90s, many of the pop culture references in this film would fly way over their heads. But to the rest of us, it's endearing, to say the least. That said, after a while, it does kind of get under my skin a bit. After the gazillionth reference, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's in the 90s. Can we please stop treating it like it's some kind of a prop? But that is how the movie treats it, actually. So whenever the script runs out of ideas to break the tension, they would just throw in some random 90s related element and hope that they'd score some laughs out of you. The movie is co-scripted and co-directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who keep the tone pretty light throughout the entire film. Even the climactic scenes, the part where the heroes usually embrace their destiny, even that does not come across as too earth-shattering in my opinion. They simply go straight forward to showcasing Captain Marvel in all her glory, with little difficulty on her part of getting there. Oh, before I forget, the cat Goose will steal every scene he's in. If the 90s jokes don't crack you up, the cat will. This movie also lets you in on how Nick Fury ultimately becomes one-eyed. And unfortunately, the way it goes down is quite uneventful. What stands out about this origin story is this sort of non-linear progression that heavily depends on flashbacks and flashes of images. And that is also the way in which Boden and Fleck insert or inject the female empowerment themes by showing you the several times that Carol Danvers got knocked down in the past and the several times that she keeps getting back up. So it's not preachy, it's not too repetitive, and it doesn't hit you in the head. But the message that it wants to convey and send to female audiences in particular is very clear and very straightforward and very obvious. However, there doesn't seem to be enough memorable action sequences, because I would argue that even the whole fight in the train scene is a bit underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, Captain Marvel movie thrills, but it doesn't blow your mind. It's still a great time in the theaters, but I wouldn't call it spectacular. Which leads me to my last point, Brie Larson. After watching this movie, I could not visualize anybody else in this role but Brie. Having said that, and I'm sure I'm gonna be receiving heat for saying this, but so be it, I just feel that Brie's reactions are a bit one note. She's fantastic when she has to look stoic and heroic, but for example, her interactions with her best friend, those moments provide some of this film's emotional beats, and yet I'm just not getting that out of Brie. I'm getting that out of her co-star, Lashana Lynch, but Brie more than often seems stuck in her stoic stance. The Brie Larson in that Oscar-nominated movie Room is more unafraid to bear it all, but the Brie here in Captain Marvel movie is more measured and more calculated. But that doesn't necessarily kill the entire movie watching experience. It's just another one of those cases where the movie and the performances could go the distance, but for whatever reason, they choose not to. In conclusion, overall, despite some of my criticisms here, I think you will still get your money's worth. So sit back, relax, fasten your seatbelt, and let Captain Marvel take you higher, further, faster. So that's it. That's my review of Captain Marvel. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to my channel and press that like button and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. Hey, if you like this review and you want me to make more, please contribute monthly to help support this channel at Rama Screen Patreon page. Become my patrons today at patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.